Welcome to the Non-Essential Podcast. I'm Steve Gibson.
I'm Ben Matlock.
Yep.
Yay.
That's what we need. This show, the one thing holding us back is we don't have canned laughter and canned applause and that kind of stuff. We should sound like a 60s sitcom.
It's funny because I started following Major League Soccer. I've taken your lead. I've picked out a team, and I've been watching games the last week. And the team I root for is LAFC. And when they score a goal, the commentator is about that sad when he shouts. He's like, "Yay!" It's a miracle anybody gets into this sport.
Our guys are pretty good, but they don't. I kind of think that I can't really even remember. I think they do the whole goal thing, but like the crowds going and everything, you don't particularly. Plus, I'm usually yelling "goal" because. Whatever, but
I'm usually like, hey, cool, goal. Oh, wait, no, it's getting called back because there was a foul like 10 minutes earlier, and reviews go back that far because cameras have ruined sports.
I know. I was going to say, actually, that's bad in soccer, but it's worse in hockey. And I know you watch.
Yeah, it's terrible in hockey, too. It's awful
I've
in
seen
basketball.
it be like 3 minutes, and 3 minutes in hockey is like a 20 minutes in real, like, regular time sometimes. And then they're like, last week this player forgot to dot the I in his name on the roster form. So it's like, gee.
One time he shoplifted something when he was 13, and now we got footage of it, so wipe that goal off the board.
The thing I hate about it it's same with soccer because it's usually the same kind of penalty. But hockey, it's like always the offsides that they're reviewing.
Offsides is so fucking stupid.
Well, I mean, I get the point of the rule, but my argument is if you crossed offsides and then scored like 40 seconds later, that offsides didn't give you an advantage.
Here's my problem with offsides, and it's true in hockey. It's true in a different way in soccer. In hockey, the rink is not that big, so to get on people's shit for being on the wrong side of a line in a certain order is really annoying to me. In soccer, the field is huge, but there's a ton of people on it. And
and they're so fucking bad, especially if you're getting into soccer in the MLS.
I want the chaos of like old-time medieval war formations in soccer. Like I want it to be as much of a clusterfuck, and I want it to bite teams on the ass too when they like get too aggressive, and then it's like, oh, you're not down there for the clear and they got it away, now you're fucked. Offsides just like it killed the pacing of both those games.
The ridiculous thing to me about hockey's offsides is that the player carrying the puck can be offside if he like turns around backwards, and if he happens to cross before the puck, even if he's in the control of the puck, they're like, oh, that's offside. It's like, that's fucking ridiculous.
The idea of like trying to police placement in a game where people are sliding around on ice is one of the craziest things in the world to me. Or like, albeit they can stop on ice a lot better than I can, but it's still ice. They're still sliding around. So to have these rigid lines, it's all just the government, man, trying to fucking control us.
I agree.
Welcome to the Non-Essential Podcast, where we bitch about sports usually. Not the goal of the show, but it's usually where we end up. But the goal of the show is to tell each other stories, and I've had a lot of work shit going on, a lot of personal stuff that I won't get into on here, but you know about it. So this week, back to the Creepypastas, and I was telling Steve off air, I genuinely don't know if we've done this one before. I like it. But I can't tell.
What you need to do is just read it in like a unnatural inflection, just like, and then say, oh, it's a last week. This player forgot to dot the I in his name on the roster form. So it's like, oh, you're not down there for the clear, and they got it away. Now you're fucked. It can be anything as long as it's not how you would naturally read it. That way, if we have done it before, you can tell people, well, this was the HD remake.
Well, the thing we have going for us is we're at almost 140 episodes. Nobody's going to dig back in and try to find out, like, if I had done this one before. We could probably stop looking up new topics in general and just repeat the same 140.
That's true. I've saved, I think, all my notes from every show we ever did.
Yeah, and it's been so long that it'll feel new to us now, clearly. Yeah. But I like this one because it's kind of in the vein of the last one I did, where it was kind of a how-to guide on how to talk to the devil. And there's a lot of creepypastas in that vein, and a lot of them are, they win Pasta of the Month awards and stuff. If you're looking to write creepypasta, make it a how-to. Yeah, the idiot's guide to fucking werewolves or some shit, But this one is by a writer called RedNovaTyrant, and it's called How to Beat the Sandman. Having difficulty staying awake there, trying to study for some big exam, finish some last-minute assignment that you put off all weekend, and now it's 3 a.m. and you're absolutely exhausted? Or perhaps you were in a similar state recently and are looking for help on what to do. Well, friend, I have just the prescription to ease your weary mind. All you need to do is win a game. Setting up the game is relatively simple. All you need is an hourglass, a candle, and a marker. Let me make one thing specifically clear. You need an hourglass, not one of those rinky-dinks 30-second pieces of shit you get out of a cereal box or board game. This guy has harsh feelings for knockoff hourglasses.
Not you, trouble.
Not that bullshit you get in the dollar store. You need a real one. Before playing the game, test your hourglass to make sure that it takes an hour or slightly longer to drain out all of the sand from one section of the other. Having it take slightly longer will help, but too long or too short and you'll run into complications during the game. You must also be completely alone in the room while playing. When you are ready to play, choose any room that can be sealed, simply meaning that all doorways and windows can be closed. Any other form of timekeeping device or alarm must be taken out of the room prior, or the game will not begin.
Yeah, this sounds like the exact same pushy bastard from the devil one. He's like, you gotta do... And I like that the specification is like, you have to be in a room that can be sealed. But by seal, I don't mean airtight. I just mean close the doors and windows, which is like 99% of rooms. Like,
there's like 2 houses in all of your town that have a room where it's like, oh fuck, I can't do it here. There are no doors or windows.
How picky is the Sandman too? Like, what if I'm in my whole house, but the door to the room is open, but the house is closed up? Couldn't I just argue that I'm still in and enclosed, like it's just a house-shaped room?
Dude, the Sandman's not going to go through every room of a house trying to find your ass. You need to be in a specific room.
So the game's not hide and seek.
Yeah, the game's Uno, and
good, 'cause
he better find you.
I'm a fat bastard. I suck at hide and seek.
The hourglass will be your only time tracking tool, hence why having an accurate hourglass is important. Anything with an electronic display should also be removed. This includes TVs, cell phones, computer monitors, anything. Leaving them in the room during the game will put you at a massive disadvantage. You may begin the game at 8 p.m. Make sure the room is sealed, drawing the curtains, like the way he says sealed, I'm imagining, like you said, like vacuum locked.
Right. You've got exactly 1 hour, because after that you'll run out of air.
I've never shut my door and thought I'm sealing my room.
No, because if your mom decides to bug bomb the house, you're still going to get gassed.
No, I'm fine now. My room's sealed. Make sure the room is sealed, drawing the curtains to block any outside light. Then draw a simplistic hourglass shape on the back of one of your hands. Make sure to remember well which hand it was, since you'll mostly be in the dark for this game. You got a 50-50 shot if you forget.
Yeah, crap. Well, I usually put stuff on my right hand because I'm right-handed, but I can't draw with my left hand.
But I'm right-handed, so I would have wrote it with my right hand, right? Like,
right.
Fuck. I'll just put it on both hands that way. Take the candle and light it, then turn off the lights and sit down on the floor with the 3 previously mentioned objects close together. And flip the hourglass so the sand begins to fall into an empty half. The only source of your light should be your candle. Now yell something along the lines of, "I'm not tired and I refuse to go to sleep." Mom. Like,
I'm a big boy now, and I can stay up past 8 o'clock.
Yell out Linkin Park lyrics to let them know that you're never going to clean your room. Close your eyes to the count of 10 and open them again. You won't be entirely sure, but somewhere in the room you'll think you can see the shadowy outline of a man. You have now begun the game, and your opponent is none other than the master of sleep himself, the Sandman. Do not provoke him, and don't speak to him either. You've challenged him, and in a way insulted him about his profession.
Ha ha, you suck at this job. You can't make me sleep.
I'm not really tired. Well, I have a fucking job to do, okay? So he's not in the best of moods, to say the least. Now comes the game. Your task is to stay awake as long as possible, to a maximum of 8 hours, which will take you to 4 a.m. Every hour you must flip the hourglass to reset it and keep the game going. Each time you flip the hourglass, you may take the marker and draw a tally mark on your arm, the specifics of which you mark will be explained later. And don't think you can just flip the hourglass 8 times really quickly or just draw 8 lines on your arm. The hourglass needs to pass in order for the magic to work. If you fail to flip the hourglass before the very last grain of sand falls, or should you succumb to sleep, you will lose. During this time, the Sandman will be deploying as many tricks as possible to get you to fall asleep or to give in. See, the bottom half of your hourglass, at any time, represents his power. The more sand in it, the stronger his influence will be. Almost immediately upon starting, you'll begin to feel drowsy. This is merely his presence. If you can't last against this, stop playing immediately. During the first hour, he won't do a lot. He may walk around the room, but he won't touch you or speak to you. Even if you try to talk to the being, which is something you should really avoid doing, there will be no response. Also, don't move from your spot to approach him. The closer you get, the more drowsy you will become, and if you're not near your candle, he may put it out so you can go to sleep. Do not distract yourself during this time. You may easily lose track of time and forget to flip the hourglass on time. The Sandman can also skew your perception of how much time has passed, but he cannot affect the hourglass, so keeping your focus on that is your best chance of winning.
Good, because the easiest way to stay awake is to sit in a dark room and just stare at an hourglass.
Yeah, this doesn't seem so much like a game at this point. We're going to play a game. I was like, just don't fall asleep, like, which is what everybody who's trying to stay awake is doing anyway.
It sounds like something that would be done to a prisoner of war to try to get them to admit.
It does sound like some crazy torture. Side note, if you try to leave the room, you will find that the doors are all locked, and the windows reveal nothing but an unyielding darkness as far as you can see. After you pass the first hour, the Sandman may scoff, but will continue to stay in the room. Now he will begin to pull more from his bag of tricks. He's seen that you're going to be a hard one to put down. The sounds of music boxes and harps may be heard, at first from a distance, but will slowly grow to a level that will be audible and comforting. Resist the urge to close your eyes and listen.
See, he's too old school, because if I started hearing music boxes and harps, I'd be thinking,
annoying.
Yeah, and I'd be thinking, where the fuck did you find music boxes and harps?
Harp? What is this? Fucking ancient Rome? Like, what the fuck?
Like, I've got all sorts of, sleep aid white noise tracks on Spotify. I can, just jump to those, dude. And if you want a real shot at putting me to sleep. That's right. I'm telling Sandman how to do his job.
Just put on the Joe Rogan podcast marathon on Spotify. Resist the urge to close your eyes and listen. Your body will grow weary as you approach hour 2 or 3, depending on how the Sandman is feeling that night. Around this point, he will begin speaking to you in many voices. The soft voice of a young girl, which wouldn't comfort me. I don't know why that would be like...
Yeah, that's about the most creepy voice.
Around this point, he will begin speaking to you in many voices. The soft voice of a young girl, the wise, cackling laugh of a grandparent. Again, that would bother me.
Shut up, Grandpa. I'm trying to beat the Sandman here.
My grandparents didn't really laugh too much.
And how do you have a wise cackle?
Yeah.
Like, ah, ha, 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 ha.
A bird in the hand, ha, ha, ha. Like, I don't know what a wise cackle is.
Yeah, me either.
Or perhaps even in the ever-loving, recognizable words of your own mother. They will try to congratulate you on surviving for so long with the Sandman, for braving sleepless days and nights to win this game. Whispers of lullabies and nursery rhymes will fill your head, but you know better. Say nothing and ignore the voices. No matter how real they may seem, don't listen to them. Do not go to sleep. If you manage to make it to the halfway point and now have 4 marks on your arm, you'll be nothing less than exhausted, and the Sandman will be nothing less than enraged. He will begin to manipulate your environment even more and start using new tactics to get you to sleep. Instead of trying to lull you to sleep, he will attack you. I just like the idea of the Sandman just starts swinging.
You son of a bitch. At this point, pull out your baseball bat and fend him off.
At this point, he will knock you out cold. You lose. Hallucinations will occur. You'll see horrifying images of the dead hanging from the ceiling, flashed by a spotlight of an unknown origin. Again, this is the opposite of, like, he was on the right path of, like, trying to soothe you. If he just kept it up for 4 more hours, he would probably put you to sleep. But instead, he's like, I'm going to turn into a monster.
Like, he could stroke your hair and then, like, put a blanket over top of you. But instead, he's attacking you and showing you horrifying images. Like, this ought to put you to sleep.
He just starts giving you a relaxing massage. Like, see horrifying images of the dead hanging from the ceiling, flashed by a spotlight of unknown origin. The room may start to close in and then stretch out, and close in again and stretch back out. A whisper in your ear will turn into shouting in your face from an invisible source. Already weakened and sleep-deprived, your remaining energy will be drained and burst from his terrors. You may have a sudden adrenaline rush, sure, but the Sandman is clever. He'll time them so that you can't just survive to the next hour by simply being anxious. He'll wait until your emotional state has fallen just another level lower, and then bam! 2 rotted feet dangling in front of your face. You can scream all you want, you can beg for him to stop, but this will only use up more of your ability to function. Your ability to function, which is just staring forward like you had a fucking lobotomy.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how much energy he thinks it takes. Now, that said,
it does take energy to stay awake, but...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, you don't even need the Sandman. If you told... It's definitely if you told me to sit in this dark room for 4 hours, don't move or say anything or do anything. Like, there's no fucking way I'd stay awake. I don't need the Sandman's powers to make me fall asleep. It's
well,
called, like, the crushing weight of everyday life. That'll put me to sleep and...
Yeah. That's the thing. If he just hung out there, like, all right, we're beginning the game, I wouldn't make it 1 hour.
Right. I'll just stay quiet in the corner. You'll forget about me and you'll fall asleep. Like,
at the 6-hour mark, the hallucinations will shift between horror and comfort, while the Sandman will begin to pick your brain and find what nightmares caused you to come to a cold sweat many a night. Others will coax you towards slumber, claiming that you've put up with enough and that you deserve your rest. A warm bed to tuck yourself into, a pillow made from the softest of furs and feathers. The harps and music boxes will start to overload your sense of hearing. In your state, you may welcome the chance to sleep, but snap out of it. Have you been watching the hourglass? Make sure his terrors aren't distracting you. This is why you don't talk to the Sandman. For every tiny detail about yourself you give him, he will use against you here. This is also the part where electronic displays can become a massive problem. they'll turn on, regardless of whether they are powered or not, and should you gaze upon their mystifying image for too long, your eyelids will droop, and your body will collapse onto the floor. If you had just turned the screens away, the Sandman might use some muscle and turn it back towards you so you can get a better view. I like that takes muscle for the Sandman. He's like...
I flip my cell phone over and he's like...
It's just to, like, turn a laptop screen on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is made out of sand, I guess. Like... But sand's pretty... It's got some weight to it.
The Sandman was really strong in Spider-Man, so... I believe he has the muscle to do this. I just don't think he should need it. The curtains may open to a brilliant dawn or a clear blue sky, but the only truths in this room are your arm and the hourglass. Unless you have 8 marks, this game is not over. Use any ounce of strength you have to flip that hourglass, now an immense chore from the Sandman's influence. Scrawl a line down your arm with the marker, even if it looks like you're taking a knife and slashing your own arm open. During the final hour, the Sandman will begin to address you directly, asking you questions that appear to be simple. But as you can't even remember what 2 + 2 equals. A question is the hardest thing to get out of your head, so don't let it get in. Cover your ears and just watch the hourglass. Keep those eyes open. Don't fall asleep.
La 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 la, not listening to you. La la la.
Like, he doesn't mention substances. Like, can I do, like, cocaine before this
I was waiting to I was going to ask that. Like,
you know, what ground are those PEDs in this?
Yeah, you'll win, but there'll be an asterisk next to your name in the Hall of Fame.
What if the hourglass is full of cocaine instead of sand? A question is the hardest thing to get out of your head, so don't let it get in. Cover your ears and just watch the hourglass. Keep those eyes open. Don't fall asleep. If the question gets in your head, you'll start to think about it, adding more stress and draining you of what little mental will you have left. It might become hard to breathe, as if something is squeezing your lungs, or the air is dense and hard to take. So at this point, he's just choking you out. Like,
well, that works too. I mean, I think if you... Like I said, I'm already always teetering on the edge of falling asleep. So deprive me of like 4% oxygen out of the air, and I'd probably be like, yep, I'm out.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, I think the Sandman's overthinking this. There's a lot of shit that will a lot of chemicals that will physically put a guy to sleep. So, I don't like how I said that as if I knew what those chemicals were.
Got some he can borrow right here.
Just go into my drawer and you can put them right out, Sam.
Now that's the game. Let's see who wins between cocaine and chloroform. Like,
yeah, you know, that's kind of like Barry Bonds versus Roger Clemens. You know, just
right. Like, if we want to make this sport interesting, let's allow the PEDs, but on both sides.
Absolutely. The Sandman will also get physical, grabbing you and throwing you across the room.
Damn, that puts me to sleep every time.
Leaving you to crawl back to the hourglass before time is up. If you catch a glimpse of his face, it may be enough of a nightmare to haunt you and keep your eyes from shutting. There will be no distinguishable facial features save 2 bloody eyes, the lids torn from the sockets, endlessly staring. If you can't take it anymore at any point before the 8th hour is completed, take the hourglass and break it with all your might. Both sections must be broken for the game to end. For your sake, I hope it was made of glass. Oh, that would suck if it were plastic. It's just boom, boom, boom. That's why you don't get knockoffs.
Yes, yeah.
Anyone who has made it to the 7th hour mark has never had the strength to successfully break it and either carried on or surrendered to their dreams. You will not receive a reward for ending the game this way, save the mercy of avoiding the Sandman's wrath. If you do not make it to the end of the 8th hour mark without falling asleep, you will not need to flip the hourglass again. Simply make the 8th mark on your arm and close your eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. If you do make it to the end of the 8th hour without falling asleep, make the 8th mark on your arm and close your eyes. Though you ended the game, you cannot sleep just yet. There's one final task remaining. All you must do is wait for the Sandman to collect the hourglass and say, You're all grown up now. Sleep when you wish. Open your eyes and find that the hourglass is gone and the candle put out. I'm proud of you, boy. Now you may collapse in slumber, a 12-hour slumber to be precise. The game puts a heavy strain on your mind and body, so recovery is necessary. But it's the last sleep you'll ever need, or at least to that length, because once you've fully recovered, you will be able to stay awake for an extra hour for each tally on your marked arm. Depending on your normal sleep schedule, this may mean you only need a small nap, maybe an hour or two at most, but for some, you'll never have to lie down again. Sure, you will have the ability to do so if you want to. You can even still dream, but there will never be any weariness following you. Just think of how productive you can be.
Oh, fuck that. Like, no. I'm not going through all this so that I can work 24/7.
Once corporate America finds out this is a thing, every employee's going to have to do this shit with the Sandman. But it's not all sugar plums and gumdrops. This dude's pretty old-fashioned, how they write. If you mark any tallies on the arm that was not marked by the hourglass, you will instead require more sleep. 1 hour for each tally on the blank arm to be precise. You will require more rest to be able to even function throughout your day. Now, these marks can cancel with the ones on your marked arm, but if that's not the case, you may have just gone through all that suffering only to come out worse than before. And what with your delirious state throughout the game, it's unlikely for the average individual to come out with all their tallies on the marked arm. There are also circumstances of losing. If you fail to flip the hourglass, the Sandman will gain full power, and with a snap of his fingers, you'll collapse to the ground. Regardless of how you fall asleep, be it by failure of the hourglass or succumbing to your own tiredness, you will also sleep for 12 hours to recover, but it will be the worst sleep you will ever have, which is usually the case whenever I've tried to do an all-nighter or something. Yeah. It's like you do eventually fall asleep, and it's awful. And
I always end up falling asleep in on the floor in some weird position or something, and you wake up. Yeah.
I don't usually have that problem. I usually just hit a stretch where it's like, if I stay awake for a couple more hours, I'll probably be fine. And then 20 minutes after I have that thought, it's like, man, my bed looks fun.
Yeah, and it's the worst too, because fortunately I've not been in this situation for a long time. I did go through a period of a year and a half or so with real bad insomnia. Almost every night I wouldn't be able to fall asleep until 5, and then I'd be up at 6:30 or 7 to get ready for work. So and you can't function off of 2 hours of sleep every day very well. Yeah. It sucked. But you get to that point where you're like, I can't stay up, but if I go to sleep now, getting back up when I have to get up is going to be next to impossible also.
Yeah.
And then you said, so your sleep ends up suffering for it, because it's your body knows you can't fully shut down. I don't know. Yeah. I get it. It sucks.
Teenage years, early 20s, I was very all over the place with my sleep schedule. It was only when I started working and all my jobs were super early shifts that it had to normal out. And I got old and very lazy. But it will be the worst sleep you will ever have, and the Sandman will make damn sure that's the case. The worst nightmares will flood your mind, leaving you unable to escape or wake up in a relief-filled cold sweat. All you can do is endure the torture of a dream that feels like years in length. And when you finally come to consciousness the next morning, there you will be, lying on the floor of the room, the marks still on your arms, and blood flowing from where your eyelids once rested. You said you refused to close your eyes and to go to sleep. The Sandman has simply granted that wish. The end.
Ouch.
He's a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Bit of a real fuck.
And his, abilities are all over the place. He can, once you fall asleep, he can, rip your eyelids off, and give you nightmares, but during the rest of the game...
I don't know if that's an ability. Ripping eyelids off. Anybody could do that. You just shouldn't.
I don't know. He apparently has to struggle to turn a cell phone back around, so...
it takes some elbow grease, but give him a minute and he can do it. Uh, I don't know. I always thought that was an interesting thing. Like, if you didn't need to sleep, would you miss that part of your life that's all about sleeping? And
like I said, that's a tough question because it depends on what you get to fill it with. If it means that you have like 16 to 20 hour work days now, no, fuck that.
But if nobody means, knows,
right? If I could stay up and play, for instance, Yakuza all night, and man, that would give me an extra like 7 to 8 hours of gaming time a day. I could actually finish video games.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably do this honestly because like. That's a big problem with my life right now is I'm always tired. And I feel like you know, the given day between work and everything we do, it's like you have like what, like 4 at most actual hours for yourself
right.
to do anything. It's like, fuck that. I would fuck the Sandman up. I wouldn't even play the game. I would just beat his ass. Apparently he can't even like fucking turn a fucking picture. I think I could take him.
And now it begs the question, who do I need to talk to play a similar game with, like, whoever's in control of eating? Because, you know me, I love food and I love cooking. Doughboy. Yeah, I'll take him on, fucker.
It's the same thing, but you use an egg timer in a sealed kitchen.
Crawl into your oven. Don't turn it on or else you lose.
The doughboy's, like, throwing you into walls and shit.
But yeah, I mean, that's the same type of deal. I love food and I love cooking and stuff, but it would be way better if I didn't have to do it all the time. Like, if you could just eat when you felt like it.
I do. That's the thing. I pretty much just eat when I feel like it.
Well, I do, but in the wrong way. That's why I can't lose weight. I mean, like, if I could go like a week and like not have to get up in the morning and make stuff so I have lunches and not worry about all that would free up a lot of time.
A lot of time. I think food I genuinely enjoy. Like I like cooking, I like trying food and shit, and I definitely want food that's bad for me.
Yeah, but if I could get by with like one like bad meal, like one whatever I want a day and not have to eat like every 4 hours or whatever, you know, my eating schedule's all over. But like the sleep one too, yeah. I would love that if you could still sleep. Like that'd be way different than not being able to sleep at all. Like sometimes, like, can you imagine like
if you didn't need to, would you want to? That's the thing. Like, I think there's an experience with food and like, you know, enjoying it that I would miss. If I didn't feel tired all the goddamn time, I don't think I would miss sleep at all. Like,
I don't know. There's something to be said for a comfortable bed. There's something to be said for like, hey, there's this thing I want to do in 12 hours, but if I go to sleep, I only have to actually wait 4 hours. Like,
I mean, there's no rule saying you can't lay down. The only thing I could think would suck is like traveling.
Yeah. See, but like you said, it says you can still sleep, so yeah. And I wonder if it gives you like complete control over that, because how cool would that be? Be like, I can sleep whenever I want, like on a, you know, just like snap your fingers and you're out, and for X amount of time.
That might be more useful than never being tired, honestly. Yeah. If you could literally just like, you know, set yourself. Actually, that's very dangerous. Because somebody would find your like planner,
yeah.
Be like, okay,
or
I'm
just
going to be
find
asleep from 8 to 12.
Yeah. You wake up in the middle of the desert, like, oh shit, not again.
Yeah.
Damn it, Jimmy. I said this is not a funny
I really
prank.
got to stop broadcasting when I'm going to be asleep for the world. I don't know. I sleep sucks. But it's also like the best part of my day. So.
Right? That's why I have a hard time imagining giving it up. But it would be easy, like you said, if you didn't need it.
You know? Yeah.
Right.
It's just I couldn't let anyone at my job find out that, like, yeah, I'm actually awake all that time. You have to hide it. It's like a superpower. It would be used against you.
You've got the Clark Kent glasses, but they're like the reverse of those, like, gag glasses that make it look like your eyes are open. I mean, you've got glasses to make it look like your eyes are closed. Everybody's like, that's weird. He's walking around and doing stuff, but clearly he's asleep.
Make your eyes look like they're fucking bloodshot. You're just throwing sand into your own eyes before you go to work to be like, yeah, I'm really tired.
What if does it work like Santa Claus? Like if I summon the Sandman and he thinks I'm trying to play this game and all of a sudden I murder him with an axe, do I become the Sandman?
Well, just... No. You don't become Santa that way either. You go to jail.
Haven't you ever seen the Santa Claus?
You didn't murder
version.
him with an axe. You're thinking of the episode of Home Improvement where Tim murdered Santa with an axe, but he didn't become Santa Claus. That was just to protect his home.
Yeah. This Wilson, he saw some weirdo peeping over the fence, and he just...
Well, howdy ho, neighbor. Need help for hiding a body?
I love how many times you turn the show to Home Improvement. Like,
I don't do it on the show that often, but I do on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know. Home Improvement was kind of a fucked up show.
Yeah, and it occupies a delightful amount of your memories today.
Anyway, yeah. That's done. This show's done, I think.
Well, I can safely say that there's no way in hell now as an adult with my days like they are that I could beat the Sandman at this game. Like I said, he could send his secretary and it's still like I said, no magical powers needed. I
think I could train for it. Work myself up for it. You know, it's like a match, like a pay-per-view match. The thing is, there's so many better ways he could just put you to sleep.
Yeah, he seems pretty bad, and it's like he's he feels that you insulted him at his job. Like, yeah, I'm insulting him. He sucks at this.
Yeah, I've like we talked about, we had so many fucking sleep problems throughout our lives. It's like, you suck at your job, dick. Like, of course I'm going to play this game with you because I think you're incompetent.
Like you're about to fall asleep and all of a sudden he jumps out and goes, boo! And you're like, oh, whoa. Oh, damn, you almost... Yeah, that's hard to resist. I like to think that even his nightmares he's really bad at. He's like, oh, it's a dog with an extra tooth. And you're like, oh, I didn't notice.
I don't even know how many teeth dog have.
Right.
Never really cared, dude.
All right. Well, now you're covered in Spider-Man. And you're like, oh, that's just kind of awkward.
Yeah. and if you do anything with spiders, it's like, I'm going to be wide fucking awake.
Right. So, I mean, that happens as is, like where you just I don't know if you've ever just gotten the impression or notion like you feel like a spider
of something.
Yeah.
No, it was a very real thing, and it hasn't happened in a while, but I imagine I would still respond the same way. But if I saw a spider, I don't care if it was 2 a.m. I would tear my fucking bedroom apart to find it. If it went into a corner or something. And because I just could not sleep knowing that one of them was in my room like that. I'm a little more lazy now, so I might just be like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to get bit. But, back in the day, it's like, fuck it, out of bed, tear your shit apart, try to find it.
This house is getting me to the point where I almost welcome the spiders because we've had... early in the season, we get centipedes. And then I kind of looked them up, and they're like, oh, they're literally a species called house centipede. They basically only live inside houses. And they're like, oh, they're actually not that bad because they eat, a lot of stuff like spiders.
I'm so sick of that excuse for fucking pests. It's just like, oh, they take care of other pests. It's like, you should all be out of my house.
Exactly. That's the thing, because right now we have a massive issue with earwigs. And I don't know if you know, I guess some places call them pincher bugs or pincer bugs. And they're just, and then when you read about both of these things, they're like, oh, they can technically bite you, but they don't. They're very skittish, so they mostly just run away if they sense your presence. But I'm like, they're both disgusting bugs. And the frustrating thing is they're both bugs. You look up, you're like, what causes them and how do you get rid of them? They're like, oh, well, they don't really, like, they're like, the only things I ever see is they're like, oh, they're attracted to like dampness. So if there's like any leaking, in your house, anything coming in, it's like, there's not. My house is bone dry. Like, why are these motherfuckers coming here to party? So I almost would welcome some spiders to like take care of those, and then I'd burn the spiders. Like, I'd double cross them, but not till the job's done.
Sorry, I got distracted by a GIF on Twitter that's showing a New York subway system completely flooded, and the trains are still running.
Nothing stops the subway system in New York except for like sneezes and.
Yeah, I just have the saying, if I were staring down into a subway and it was like up to my chest full of water, I probably wouldn't climb down there to catch the train.
No. Yeah, generally tunnels that are...
Well, why would you even bother? Shut the trains down at that point. You need a boat. Get little boats down there. And
you know what? An underground, like, gondola system instead of a subway, that sounds so much nicer.
That's like an Italian gondola. They're like singing songs as the city's going underwater.
But this is America, so there's still Italian guys, and they're still on a gondola, but they're singing, like, I don't know, I can't even think of, like, good American, like, music, they'd be whatever. Like, but not just, my point is not Italian songs. They'd be singing stuff off of our, like, Billboard Top 20 or...
That's what I'm singing. Go find your nearest Billboard Top 20, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Float on, crazy people.